Pastor and Brother Josiah for everything, and let me preach again. I appreciate that. This is probably going to be a really short one because I messed it up, but Colossians 3 in verse, which verse is that? 1 second. Let's see. Oh, 23. Yep. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as the Lord, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. So this verse is saying that when all the work you do and like everything you do, you got to do it for the Lord and not just to like help yourself and help yourself get further down in life. But like you will, but like you got to do it for the Lord and do it to the best you can for God, and then like you got to also do your best like in everything you do, and like just like when you at work, you got to do it as hard as you can so you don't get fired, obviously, but just so you can please the Lord and help show everybody how you're different than everybody, and how you serve the Lord and how you're different, and like you just but then you also you can't if you don't be you can't be lazy about it, because in Proverbs, where is that at? 1 second, I'm about there. Okay, too many papers in this Bible. So I'm about there. Okay, I'm gonna find it. All right, Proverbs 21:25 says, the desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands to refuse labor. So that verse is saying that I guess I looked up the definition of a slothful and it just meant lazy. So that's what I thought it meant, but I didn't know. So you can't that verse is saying not to be lazy. And so do you want to be lazy for God and want Him to think of you as a slothful person? So you gotta do it you gotta do everything you do at work or anything as hard and as good as you can, just so you please the Lord. And so and so you make it as best and as good as you can for Him. And then let me think. Let me see. I have notes, kinda. All right. So let me just put that over there now. Okay. So you have to do whatever in order to please God and show everybody that you're not that you're different than everybody. You gotta if you're at work or something, you gotta do whatever your boss tells you, or whoever's in charge of you as soon as it's good to the best of your ability, because it's not for you, it's for God. Right. Yep. And then you also gotta you also gotta make sure you work hard at reading the Bible and praying and having you gotta do that the best you can for the Lord too, with serving God and stuff, and help doing stuff to help God around the church and help what's it say? Help go door knocking at least. And then you got well, that's really all I have then, because I kind of ran out of didn't do very good planning, so.
When people look at you, do they say you give it your all or not? It's very telling to people we hang out with sometimes, and whether or not we give it our all. And what a great thought there. Are you giving it your all? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, with all thy strength. And like Pastor even says sometimes, it becomes old hat. We just do it because we have to. It's the next thing on the schedule. And to be reminded about that tonight, are you really doing it for the right reasons? Are you really doing it with all of your heart? Man, that's good stuff right there. I appreciate that, Blake. Next up, we're going to have Sincere come up here in just a moment. Sincere reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and said, what do I have to do to preach on Fifth Sunday? And it surprised me a little bit. Sincere did make some big changes at camp this year as well that I've seen. But it kind of surprised me. I said, well, first we need to sit down so you and I can talk about it and make sure you understand the severity of it, or how serious it is. But I watched Sincere at camp this year, make some big changes in his life. And I mean, he came and he stood before us that Sunday after and even said, some things need to change in my life. I need to act like a respectable young man. I need to talk like a respectable young man. And what I appreciate about Sincere is even though he may have slipped up a couple times here and there, when I've confronted him about it, he's gone, yes, sir, that's me. I'm sorry. I'll fix that. I'll change that. I'll work on that. And it's really neat to watch Sincere as he's grown in the Lord. I mean, he's been coming here for a long time, whether we realize it or not, but to see him grow and come up through our bus ministry and now through our youth group, and to say, hey, you know what? I want to take the next step with my Christian walk, and to say I'm willing to get up there and be scared to death and preach something or share a testimony or whatever, that's a lot. It says a lot. And I appreciate the changes I've seen in Sincere this year. I'm excited about him, so pray for him for his future and pray for him right now. Sincere, why don't you come on up and give us what the Lord has for you.
Okay, would you guys turn to 1 Corinthians 1:9? Thank you. Before I get started, I would like to thank Pastor for this opportunity of letting me stand behind his pulpit and preach, I guess. All right, 1 Corinthians 1:9 says, God is faithful, by whom ye were called unto the fellowship of his Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Hold on, my notes. All right, when it says being faithful, my question to you guys is, how faithful are you to the Lord? Do you guys give it your all? Because God, he always going to keep it 100 with you guys. He always going to put his all into you. He's going to work on you, but you got to do the same back. Like, you have to be consistent with the decisions he's made in your life, and you have to follow the decisions you made in your life. You have to drop the bad habits and try to get on the right path, on the right track. And being consistent. Some of you guys might ask what consistent means. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example about myself. So, for those of you guys that know me in our youth group, you guys know that I say I want to lose weight sometimes, right? Because, I'm not the littlest guy. So, maybe it's like 10 in the morning. I'll be like, I want to lose weight. So, I go outside, I run, I come and eat a nice, healthy breakfast. 2 hours later, I'm in my room eating donuts. That's not being consistent. Being consistent, you have to do the right thing over and over again to where you can get rid of those bad habits. You can't be on the right track for 2 weeks because, how should I put this? What takes up to 30 days to get rid of a bad habit? Oh, that's all I have to say. And Mark, will you guys please turn to Mark 16:15. All right, you guys there? All right, Mark 16:15 says, and he said unto them, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Okay, God put us on this earth to spread his word, not to be killing, gangbang or whatever, selling drugs. He put us here for a specific reason. And that specific reason is to spread his word, because there's a lot of lost people in this world, and they can need some guidance. Even if you can't guide them, God could always guide them. And guiding them, like inviting them to church. I want to say it was October of 2013. Before I started going to church, I got a knock on my door by Brother Alex and Brother Jason and invited me to church. And ever since then, my life has been different. And I just want to thank them too for that. Man, hold on, my mouth is dry. Oh, yeah, that's all I got.
Enough said. I mean, you heard it right there. Enough said. He's exactly right. Let's be faithful, folks. Let's be consistent. Consistently looking for those opportunities to share the gospel. I think that's something we've lost in this day and age, and even through COVID, just sharing the gospel and spreading the seed like he talked about. Let's be consistent about it. I mean, I'm not as consistent as I should be, and I'll stand here and say that. That was for me tonight. So let's be more consistent in what we do. Boy, that was good. All right, next up, let's talk about Riley. Where's Riley at? You can always find Riley in a crowd. It's a couple different ways. You can find him by his hair. You can find him by his actions. I love Riley. Riley and Talon recently came into the youth group, came to the church, and they have been a blast. And I loved having them at camp this year. To see them knit their hearts to our youth group and our youth group to reach out to them was just incredible, and I loved it. Something about Riley, though, is he's just very honest about what he does. And he doesn't agree, he'll tell you, and he'll listen to you, but he's very honest about what he does, and he's very willing as well. There's never been a time where I've looked at Riley and said, I need you to do this, and he went, I ain't doing that. He always does it. And sometimes it's stupid stuff. And I'm like, hey, Riley, I need you to run up to the top of that hill, grab that rock, bring it down, and then run back up there. And oh, yes, sir, okay, whatever. Now, obviously, I didn't make him do that. His parents are like, wow, that's a slave driver. I didn't make him do that. But he's very consistent. He's very willing. And right after camp, he said, I'd like to preach Fifth Sunday. I said, let's go for it, man. So it's been a joy to have you, Riley. Come give us what the Lord has on your heart tonight.
Okay, so it's not going to be the longest, but yeah. So let's turn our Bibles to Luke 23 and 43 and 34, sorry, dyslexic. And I want to thank, while you guys turn, I want to thank Pastor for letting me be behind the pulpit and preaching. And I want to thank Brother Josiah for making it eligible for me to preach and encouraging me. So let's see here. My first point is God will forgive you no matter what. So as you can see here, hold on, that's bothering me. Okay, as you can see here, let's see here. Let me find the verse. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." So what's going on in this story is it's the crucifixion. The Romans, they judged Christ because they didn't think he was the true Christ. They thought he was a false. And so, I can't remember the name of the one guy, but yeah, that they let loose. Barabbas, yes. I remembered it, but I didn't write it down, so. Okay, so they let him through and go, and then they were judging. They beat Christ. They tortured him, and then they hung him up on the cross. And right before he died to save our souls and rose again, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they not what they do." He could have snapped his finger and they'd all be gone, but no, he forgave us. And my second point is God will never leave you. As in Daniel and Lion's Den, if you want some verses to back that up, Daniel, go through Daniel chapter 6. So Daniel, they made a decree where after the trumpet blows, no, that was different. After they made a decree, you weren't allowed to worship any other god than false gods. So they did that, and Daniel went to his room, opened the blinds to his window, and knelt down and prayed 3 times a day as normal. And they thrown him in the lion's den, and they left him there all night, and the lions didn't touch him. And God protected him from that. And the next morning, they went out there, seen him, and was like, okay, maybe the lions aren't hungry. So they took him out and threw 3 other guards in, and they ate him. They ate them. So they were like, okay, he has the true God. So they worshipped our mighty God. And another instance is like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they did agree, after the trumpets, you had to bow down before the golden idol and worship it. And if you didn't, you'd get thrown into a fiery furnace. And last Fifth Sunday, we sang a song about that. And they were thrown in, then the 4th man came, and God delivers right on time. So then my third point is God loves you. John 3:16 is another verse you can do there. Romans 5:8, 1 John 4:7, Luke 6:27, Matthew 5:44. I always think about it, the prodigal son, for point 1 and point 3. The prodigal son, he turned away from his father. He left him, did a bunch of wicked things. No matter what he did, when he came back over that hill, the prodigal son's father came running to him and forgave him and loved him still. So it doesn't matter what you do, God will always forgive you. He will always be near you, and he will always love you. And that's all I got for tonight.
I'm going to tell on Riley a little bit. He came to me after the morning service, and he said, "Pastor just preached 2 of my points. What do I do?" I'm like, well, you get up there and say, "Pastor stole my sermon, but I'm going to preach." Yeah, he saw his notes in his Bible. That's what Pastor said. Stole them. I told him, I said, well, evidently somebody needs to hear it, so just go ahead and preach what God's given you. So that whole area of forgiveness is something that's important that we all need to remember at times. Proud of you, Riley. That was good. And then, of course, last but not least is Braden this evening. A lot of changes I've seen through the years with Braden. I'm very proud of him. He's stepped up in a lot of areas, and at camp this year, he really took the next step as being one of the leaders of our youth group. He was already headed that way, and I knew he was headed that way. But to watch him at camp, to take initiative in some areas, and to call some things out, and to make some stands was awesome to see. To see some changes in his life, see him get some victories in his life this year was just a blessing. And it just really thrills my soul and thrills my heart to see these young people making decisions. So Braden, wherever you're at, you're hiding somewhere. There he is, right there. Mint color. Yeah, there we go. Braden, why don't you come up and give us what the Lord has for us?
Yeah, the mint color. I look fresher than I'm at right now. I want to thank Pastor and Brother Isaiah for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all these guys that came up and preached before me. It's a blessing to see them following what God told them to do. And Blake, I'm proud of you for doing what God called you to do. Sincere, I'm proud of you for getting up here and preaching. Riley, I'm proud of you for whatever. So we're going to be in Joshua 1 and chapter 1 in verse 9. And Brother Nick, I'm going to grab the blue microphone. Yeah, it was in my way. Are you all there yet? Wait, what? I can't hear you. Are you there yet? Y'all are exciting tonight. Joshua chapter 1 and verse 9. Have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. So, Joshua chapter 1 and verse 9. My message today is, be not afraid. You know, there's a lot to be afraid about these days. You know, the gas prices, will I have enough money to pay for my groceries, my gas? Will they take away my amendments, my rights? Will our president fall down another flight of stairs? Personally, I enjoy that one, though. He falls more than the gas prices. It's discouraging to me seeing everything going on, because in the next couple of years, I'm going to be out in that mess trying to serve God in a God-hating world. But I'm not going to let that get to me. I'm not going to be afraid, because Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and of a good courage, be not afraid. It's harder to stand for right, especially nowadays, because of the lack of Christians left that will stand for right. There's a lack of Christians left that still care about their God enough to remain steadfast as the opposition attacks them for it. When are we as a church going to rise up? When are we going to get out of our comfort zones and do something about the condition that our country is in? Who is going to stand with me? Who is going to stand their ground? Who is going to be strong and of a good courage and isn't going to be afraid? And who is going to stand against the evil that attacks us? I will stand. I ask you today, church, who else is going to stand with me today? Be not afraid. If you want to make a difference in this world, you've got to give 110% to the fight every single day. You've got to give 110% to serving the Lord. And when you wake up the next morning, you got to give 111%. Our God is powerful, our God is strong, and our God's never going to give up on you. Our God is loving, and he loves you. And since he loves us, he's never going to leave by your side. So stand, because God is with you. Be not afraid. Now that I'm done yelling for a little bit, I have an illustration for you. So who should I pick on? Bradley. Come up here. All right, Bradley. So today I just need you to stand here for me and face them, would you? So Bradley here is having no problem standing. He just got back from camp. He let go of all the bad things in his life. He's taking a stand. He's having no problem with it because everyone else is there to encourage him. He's having no problem with it. But Bradley, after you get back from camp, you're going to have all your devices, your phone, your friends, your job, all of that stuff back. So it's going to be a little bit harder to stand. So I need you to stand on one foot for me. And as he is there, attempting to stand, hopefully not falling over, he's still standing for God, but there's stuff in his way. His job, his friends, his phone, his music. Music is definitely a problem. But Bradley, I know it's harder. It's harder to stand, right? Yeah. It's hard to stand for God when you're letting all that junk back into your life. So we as a youth group have to stay on fire for God. Let go of all the things that we let go of at camp and keep them away. All that bitterness you let go of, don't pick it back up. Don't you dare pick up that bitterness again. You don't need that bitterness in your life. All those friends that you got rid of, all that music you got rid of, you don't need it anymore. Get rid of it. because it gets harder to stand when all that's in your life. Bradley, come over here so you don't fall off the platform. So you're still standing for God. You're just struggling a little bit because you let all that stuff back in your life. But if you let all that stuff continue to tip you over, to push you, and eventually you're going to take your eyes off Jesus. So Bradley, I need you to stand on one leg and close your eyes. Now he is struggling, and eventually he'll fall. Thank you for the fall. I did not tell him to do that. You can go sit down, Bradley. My point is, you can stand for God all you want. You can let all that junk in your life. You can take your eyes off of Jesus. It's not going to get you anywhere. You got to stand firm, stand your ground. Let go of everything that you had before in your life that wasn't right. You got to let go of it, you guys. In order to stand for God, we must keep ourselves away from the things that continue to push us and tip us over. And don't try to pick it back up again. That bitterness, guys, don't try to pick it back up again. As you take your stand, it's going to be difficult. Luckily for you, there's a verse in Philippians that says, our God will supply our needs. As you take your stand, the darkness of sin will surround you, but there's a verse in Psalms, a lot of you know it, that says, even through the valley of the shadow of death, God will be with you. As you take your stand, you will feel alone, but there is a verse in Deuteronomy that says that the Lord, your God, will go with you, and that he will not fail nor forsake you. God is with you, Christian, even when you feel that you have nothing. Even when you are surrounded by evil, even when you feel alone, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. I implore you, adults, never stop standing. These teens need the adults in their life to set the tone. Don't stop standing. Don't give up on the cause. Don't give up on the fight. Don't give up on these teenagers. Don't give up on God. And teenagers, even if no one else will, even if none of these adults will, even if none of your friends will, I need you guys to stand. Stand for right. Don't get tipped over by everything that you blocked out of your life at camp. That bitterness, that music, those friends, that job, those coworkers. You don't need it anymore. None of you give up on God, you teenagers, as it's Fifth Sunday. Never give up on God, please. This country needs our teenagers, this next generation, more desperately than we've ever needed it before. So, as the verse says, be not afraid, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. Be not afraid.
I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but did you notice how every time these young men preach, their messages become more structured? And, it's sometimes when it comes to preaching and pleasing the Lord, at least as far as the ministry is concerned, experience does make a difference. I'm glad we have a church where we're allowing these young men to have that experience. All of you all thanked me and Brother Josiah for allowing you to have this opportunity, but I also thank you for the willingness to take that opportunity. I'm like Brother Josiah, I don't know that much more needs to be said. Blake has been a hard worker since he's a little kid. I'm not saying that he's works, like an adult man. He's a kid, but Blake has been driving heavy machinery. He probably did that before other kids were driving tricycles his age. And that's not much of an exaggeration. And so this young man knows what it is to go out and work. And the whole time, Blake, that you're preaching, I'm thinking, he really knows something about working. He has two grandpas that work hard, and a dad and a stepdad that work hard, And so to hear Blake express that you got to work hard and, work hard at pleasing the Lord. It thrills me to see that a young man come to the realization in his life, if I'm going to be a good Christian, I got to work at it. And that what a great job. And Sincere, your decision this year at camp, you came home and Sincere had some things that come up just a day or two before camp. And we didn't know if we was going to be able to go. And Brother Josiah and Jordan and myself, and we went and talked to Dad at least, and we're willing to talk with Mom also, but Dad talked with us, and we said, please, we want Sincere to go. And so Dad allowed that to happen. And when you came home and he gave this testimony, I want to be able to speak like a young man is supposed to speak. That just spoke to my heart. I still remember that, and wow. So he gets up a few weeks later and speaks like a very well put together young man. And so proud of him to do that and to be faithful. And I didn't want to take away from him, but what he was expressing and heard his train of thought. But I'm with you on the weight thing. I'm with you. I can be as genuine and sincere about it and have a great morning with breakfast, and then I'm eating white donuts before noon. So, but I love that he used a personal illustration. But that's not being consistent. And I'd say, well, now he's meddling for sure, isn't he? And so, but so true to be faithful. And Riley, you expressed this morning, preacher. You preached two of my points, and yet, you know what? He preached that as though we had not heard that throughout the day, with a confidence and clarity and a truth that could not be sounded enough. That God forgives us, will never leave us, and He loves us. And you did a great job. And then Braden, just being strong, be of good courage, don't be afraid, and take a stand. Well, those all fit together, don't they? And so sometimes we listen to this, and things like this, and as an adults, I want us to evaluate. So where are we at in pleasing the Lord? Do we work hard at pleasing the Lord? Are we faithful? Are we consistent? Do we understand that God loves us? He's never going to leave us. He'll always forgive us, and that we're strong enough just to keep serving the Lord. That's a great message, all four of those together. So thank you, guys. You did a great job. Well, let's all stand and we'll have a word of prayer. Lord, I pray that you'll help us to apply these truths to our lives. Thank you for these young men, that they're willing to, I can tell they really thought this through. And I really believe with the content and the way they preached it, that these young men put some thought into it and they put some prayer into it. I pray that you help all of us to apply these truths to our life, not just the teenagers, but all of us, all ages. So help us as we evaluate our lives with what these young men gave. We'll thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. We'll ask Miss Hannah to begin to play. If you want to spend some time at the altar, I would encourage you to do so. Are you working hard to please the Lord?